in the heart of New York City, where the streets never sleep and the subway lines run like veins beneath the concrete. A mystery persists that even time itself seems afraid to touch. Every night at precisely 2:13 a.m., a train appears silent, unlisted, and unknown to any transit schedule. It glides into the abandoned lower levels of the subway system, its lights flickering with a hum like broken memories. There's no conductor, no passengers, only whispers that echo through the tunnels, like the voices of those who once were. Some call it the 213 Phantom Line, others the Ghost Train of Manhattan. But for decades, it remained nothing more than a chilling urban legend, till a young journalist named Clara Moreno decided to uncover the truth. Clara was new to the city, freshly hired by a small investigative magazine that thrived on the city's strange tales, missing persons, urban hauntings, and unexplained events that most people simply dismissed. But the 213 train was different. There were actual reports, security footage that mysteriously vanished janitors who swore they saw it glide through closed stations, and a few who claimed to have heard its haunting arrival, a metallic screech that was part of any scheduled route. This wasn't just a story, it was a ghost hiding in plain sight. Her investigation began where all old stories in New York end up. The Transit Museum in Brooklyn. There, an old archivist named Mr. Leto told her something that sent a shiver down her spine. There was a line, he said in a low conspiratorial voice, built before the Great Depression. The City Hall Lupin unfinished route, meant to connect Lower Manhattan to the Upper West Side through a secret bypass. But before it ever opened, workers started disappearing. The project was abandoned, sealed off. He leaned closer, his eyes dark. Some say the city buried it after strange reports, lights moving in the tunnels when no power was connected, a train that shouldn't exist. That night, armed with this fragment of history, Clara rode the subway for hours. She wasn't just traveling, she was hunting. She studied the shadows in the tunnels, the flickers of light between stations, and the unsettling feeling of unseen eyes watching her from the darkness beyond the windows. The city above buzzed with life, but down here the air was thick, silent, and electric with anticipation. It was nearing 2 a.m. when she felt a sudden vibration beneath her feet, not from her train, but from something deeper, something older, stirring below. She got off at Chambers Street, one of the oldest and most labyrinthian stations in the city. The last train pulled away, leaving her in an echoing silence. By 2:10, the platform was deserted. A strange coldness began to creep in. The lights above flickered, one by one, as if something unseen was draining their power, plunging the station into a growing twilight. Then, at exactly 2:13 a.m., a gust of cold, stale wind howled through the tunnel, carrying the scent of damp earth and rust. A distant rumble followed, steady, metallic, ancient, and then it appeared. The train was unlike any she had ever seen, its frame blackened and rusted, yet humming with a strange, otherworldly glow. The windows weren't just glass, they flickered between moments in time, like a broken film reel. For a second, she saw a glimpse of New York in the 1800s, men in bowler hats waiting on gaslit platforms. Then, it flashed to modern skyscrapers that hadn't even been built yet. The train was a vessel of paradoxes, a ghost of the past, and a premonition of the future all at once. Clara felt her breath catch in her throat. The doors slid open soundlessly, releasing a breath of frigid air. A voice, distorted but human, whispered from within, seeming to come from the very metal of the train itself. Next stop. Yesterday, her every instinct screamed at her to run, to flee back to the familiar living city above. But her curiosity, the relentless drive that made her a journalist, was stronger. It told her to step inside. This was the story. She had to see where it went. She took the step. The air inside was cold and heavy, like walking into a forgotten memory. The seats were lined with red velvet, now torn and faded with age. Old advertisements from the 1920s hung crookedly on the walls, promoting products that no longer existed, their vibrant colors muted by time. As she took a hesitant step forward, the train jolted to life with a groan of ancient metal. The doors closed, sealing her in. The world outside the window began to dissolve, the modern tunnels of Chambers Street fading into rough-hewn brick walls lit by the flickering glow of gas lamps. She was moving, but not just through space. She was moving through time. Outside the window, New York City began to transform in reverse. The towering skyline shrank, building by building, until the streets below were filled with horse-drawn carriages and cobblestone. She was in the past the city as it was in the late 1800s, a world she'd only ever seen in photographs. And then the passengers began to appear. They weren't solid, but ghostly silhouettes materializing on the velvet seats. They wore old-fashioned clothing, their faces half-formed, their eyes hollow and vacant. They didn't look at her, they seemed trapped in their own final moments, forever reliving their last ride on this spectral line. Lost between stations, lost between years. Clara was no longer just an observer. She was a passenger on a train bound for nowhere and everywhere, hurtling through the forgotten history of the city that never sleeps. The question was no longer if the legend was real, but if she would ever be able to get off.